Yes, after all the completion of life cycle of Plasmodium in human and mosquito, that we observed that the female Anopheles mosquito accommodate the life cycle of Plasmodium. In sexual reproduction of the Plasmodium vivax undergoes in the female Anopheles mosquito, whereas in case of human being, the Plasmodium parasite undergo asexual reproduction. Based on that, we can say the definite host of the Plasmodium vivax is mosquito, female Anopheles mosquito, because it completes the sexual reproduction in the mosquito. And intermediate host, the human being is going to be the intermediate host or secondary host, because the Plasmodium perform a sexual reproduction in the case of human being. So that's an interesting thing you have to observe. Then after the one more we have, that is reservoir host, the host that lodges the infective stages of a parasite in its body when the human host is not available. In the reservoir host, what do you say? The parasite neither undergo development nor causes any diseases. Monkey is going to be the reservoir host for Plasmodium vivax. So, by considering the two hosts, definite and intermediate hosts, we should not consider the reservoir host. The definite and intermediate hosts are there. That's why we can say the Plasmodium parasite is a digenetic parasite, which require two hosts for the completion of life cycles. Next, in the same way, let us complete the Plasmodium pathogenicity. That Plasmodium vivax cause benign tertian malaria. That, as we discussed in the earlier, that Plasmodium vivax species are having the differences here. Vivax causes Plasmodium vivax causes benign tertian malaria. Plasmodium falciparum malignant tertian malaria it causes, and Plasmodium ovale mild tertian Plasmodium malariae it causes quartan malaria. Moving on with Plasmodium vivax, we have said benign tertian malaria. The clinical symptoms of the disease include bouts of fever. We used to see the bouts of fever. We discussed a little bit in the human being life cycle even. So next I am giving closing here, which can be expressed in three stages. The three stages here are cold stage. Number one, cold stage. Hot stage. Number two, third stage is going to be the sweat stage. In the cold stage, what you can expect, we can see the chills, shivering, headache, and giddiness. Hot stage include the high temperature of the body, rapid breathing, and an increase in the pulse rate. We can say it as hot stage. Then the sweat stage, sweating stage, the profuse sweating followed by the lowering of the body temperature to the normal level. We can say sweat stage. So these are the regular intervals it is going to happen. As we know, as we have taken an example like that, November 1st the mosquito bites, so minimum time 10 days incubation period. November 10th person get malaria because of release of hemojoin granules, isn't it? So he expect with bouts of fever, cold stage, hot stage, and sweat stage. So within 4 to 6 hours sweating and person seems to be normal. So on 12th again, why? Because erythrocytic cycle takes 2 days of time. And 12th again, the same cold stage, hot stage, sweat stage. On 14th again, cold stage, hot stage, sweat stage. That means about 4 to 6 hours this particular disease will go on. That's what we said it over. That erythrocytic cycle depends upon the completion of erythrocytic cycle, the fever will come here. For every 2 days, that means third day, you see this is tertian, means third. So every third day is going to be, the person is going to get malaria. In case of Plasmodium malaria, we use a word quartan malaria. That means erythrocytic cycle takes time about the 3 days in case of them. Now we are talking about Plasmodium vivax, we can say 2 days of time. So the leave the incubation period. Incubation period, they need to complete liver stagogony, then should come to the erythrocytic stagogony. So after that, the person first time when he get malaria, from there onwards for every 2 days he'll get malaria, benign tertian malaria. We can say in this very dangerous one is going to be Plasmodium falciparum. The Plasmodium falciparum is going to be the most dangerous thing. It is going to be. Okay. So then now That is pathogens, and there are more other side effects are also there. More side effects are there, that every 2 days fever or every third day fever is okay, but along with that, the person may get affected with anemia because more number of RBC are going to be destroyed, isn't it? More and more number of RBC are going to be destroyed in this particular human being. What do you say it as? Anemia. And the when the dead RBC, that we know that the graveyard of RBC is a spleen in human being. The dead RBC, when as long as they are reaching to the spleen, that is going to be more work to the spleen, that results that in a chronic patient. What is meant by chronic? Chronic means prolonged care. That person, malaria is going to be prolonged in a person. Number of RBC are going to be destroyed over, we call anemia. And the spleen, overburden to the spleen, that means the enlargement of the spleen, we can say splenomegaly. Okay. Interesting thing here, after all the treatment is over, a malaria patient after becoming normal, he may get malaria without mosquito bite. How we'll see what it is? We have to see first. Relapse of malaria. What is relapse of malaria? The relapse of malaria means that when after the completion of the treatment, when patient becomes normal, that he get malaria again. Because of what? Some of the stages like macrometa-cryptozoites, the macrometa-cryptozoites may survive for a longer period of time in the liver. They are going to be survived even though the treatment is over. They get survived. When they survived and they stay in the liver in dormancy state, we can say them as hypnozoites. We can call them as hypnozoites. So reactivation of these particular hypnozoites, reactivation of these hypnozoites leads to the initiation of the fresh erythrocytic cycle, resulting to the new attacks of malaria, which we call it as relapse of malaria. Okay, so this is referred to as relapse of malaria. Okay, next. So, pathogenicity we said, and then after more side effects like anemia and splenomegaly in the chronic patients. And even though the treatment is completed, when the patient becomes normal, there is a possibility get malaria again without mosquito bite because of the macrometacryptozoites in the liver. We call them as hypnozoite. The reactivation of the hypnozoites, they go into the RBC and they complete the erythrocytic cycle to give the malaria. We call it as relapse of malaria. And then, what is the treatment for this? Treatment for malaria. Let's talk about the treatment. That malaria treatment is mostly done by quinine. There are so many: quinine, daraprim, resocin. Likewise, the quinine is one of the alkaloid extracted from the bark of a plant called Cinchona officinalis. From the Cinchona officinalis, the quinine is going to be obtained. Very important. Just focus here. Cinchona officinalis. Malaria can be cured by quinine, which is an alkaloid extracted from the bark of Cinchona officinalis. Okay, so the quinine is famous one in case of in the treatment. Prophyloxis. Finally, prophyloxis. Moving on to the prophyloxis, the treatment is over, and now prophylaxis. So what we have to do, how to prevent this particular parasite? Prophylaxis means prevention. So spraying of DDT and BHC. Spraying of DDT and BHC. For what? Spraying of BDT and BHC, insecticides we use it to say here. At these insecticide in intervals in the mosquito breeding places, we came to know that particular parasite is spreading through the mosquito. So we have to spray the DDT and BHC in mosquito breeding places like pools, ponds, ditches, and stagnant water, which makes the removal of mosquito. Introduction to the larvivorous fishes like Gambusia fish, larvivorous fish. That means which eats the larva. So the Gambusia fish, that is called Gambusia fish. Gambusia is an exotic fish not available in India. So we have to bring it from outside, the Gambusia, and larvivorous fish we can say, and insectivorous plants. insectivorous plants. Equal importance in NEET examination. So just focus here. Insectivorous plants like Utricularia. Insectivorous plants are there like Utricularia. Insectivorous, what it mean? Which eats the insects. We have to use insectivorous plants like Utricularia into the places where the mosquito breed. Okay, so we should know actually the larval form of mosquito. Interestingly, the mosquito lives in land and air, but larval forms of mosquito is going to live in the water, on the surface of water. The mosquito larval forms is there, and these particular mosquito, though in larva we call it as regular, though it is in water, it breathes through the air. So by spreading kerosene or pyrethrum oil, whatever it is, oil which makes a layer on the water level, it doesn't allow the breathing of this particular larva. So you can kill by spraying that particular kerosene or pyrethrum oil or any oil which makes a layer on the water. By suffocation, these particular larval forms are going to die. We use it to say larva is called regular and pupa is called that tumbler. We can say both are going to is living in the surface of water. So that's why we should focus on the killing larval form by spraying kerosene or pyrethrum oil in the mosquito breeding places, by spraying DDT, BHC, by the using the gambusia, which is a larvivorous fish which eats the larva. So all these are methods to remove the larval form. Okay, so about mosquitoes, how to avoid mosquitoes. Avoiding mosquito bite by using mosquito net, mosquito repellents. So that is a well-known thing. People know about this much. The mosquito nets are there. So just without side effects, mosquito repellents are there. Mosquito repellents are there. Nowadays, you can see so many items in the market available here to remove the mosquitoes. As I said to you, finally, to kill the larval forms, you can use kerosene or pyrethrum oil on the surface of water to kill the larval forms. As I said, the mechanism here, the larva in water even they live. We can say they breathe from air. So when you spray kerosene or pyrethrum oil, they form a layer on above that kills. So these are the prophylactic methods here. Let me say once again, the spraying of DDT and BHC are like insecticides. These are at intervals in mosquito breeding places like pools and ponds, ditches and stagnant water, and introduction of the larvivorous fishes like gambusia, the insectivorous fish it is, larvivorous fish it is, gambusia, and insectivorous plants like Utricularia into the places where mosquito breed, and avoiding mosquito bite by using mosquito nets, mosquito repellents, and spraying of kerosene and pyrethrum oil on stagnant water to kill the larval and pupal forms. Okay, so that is about that stages. That means prophylaxis here, prophylaxis of Plasmodium vivax. Okay, so this is all about the Plasmodium vivax. So came to the end of Plasmodium vivax here.